But she doesn't want you back there.
So let's do this. While we're waiting for our first guest speaker to go out of order, we're going to kind of go to new business real briefly. Elaine has an update from the library. So let's have Elaine speak. Thanks for everybody's patience.
Hi, guys. Good morning. I was recently appointed to the library board, and thank you. And I want to tell you a little bit about the Friends, because they need some help, and the library needs some help. One of the things that Trump, in his executive BS, did was eliminate the library museums thing that gives money to libraries and museums and research institutes and all sorts of things. And we need letters written to your representatives, or letters, phone calls, emails, to get him to get that back together. We need that money. One of the things that's going to go first is your interlibrary loan privileges. If you use Melcat to get books from other libraries, that's going to go, because that is completely federally funded by that source of money. And there are other things. Some online databases are funded that way. So that's the first thing. We need you to get on that particular issue and save our libraries and save your ability to read. I mean, if he's gonna kill the schools, we want to at least save the library so you can read and do it yourself. The next thing is the Friends have openings on their board, and they have openings for volunteers. They need people to sort books that are donated. They need people to talk about books in the bookshop. You can sit there and take the money for when people come in to buy something, but you can also talk books, which is kind of fun. Having been a librarian for 50 years, it really is kind of fun to talk books. So that's something, if you wanted to do, that would be cool. And then that's a couple hours a month commitment to the Friends. To join the Friends, it's a $10 a year per person, $20 a year per family. And you fill out a form, you give them the money at the circulation desk, and they're happy to take it. And then if you want to volunteer, there's another form you fill out, which I believe you can pick up at the circulation desk as well. So those are some things that you can do if you want to.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elaine. All right. So my name is Michael Tash. I'm the chair of the club. We have our vice chair, Carl. We have our wonderful secretary, Mike James, and our fast treasurer, Deb, over there. Before we get the treasurer's report, I know Charlie has a heart out. So we are welcomed by our wonderful Oakland County Commissioner, Charlie Cavell, who is separately doing Fund My Future for an important ballot initiative. So big round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. First, how many of you is this your like first, second, third Dem Club meeting? Hey, claps for you guys. Well, okay. Right. Okay. So because I'm an Oakland County Commissioner. So if you live, just trying to share all our terms, I guess. Okay. So Yes, I'm an Oakland County Commissioner. If you live west of Woodward and Royal Oak, that's me. I'll leave my cards. But County Commission doesn't pay all my bills. Definitely covers my health insurance. So thank you all for that. But I got this other job. It's called Fund My Future. Okay. So what Fund My Future does, the short version is we like taxes because we think that taxes are how we show in these modern times that we care about one another. Is that something that resonates with any of you here? Okay, cool. Thanks. Is that better? Okay. So that's Fund My Future, the organization. And we're a coalition of many unions and social justice organizations and faith groups and environmental organizations. So we got this whole swath of about 30 partner organizations. And what we're working on is three big things, because we think that there are many problems in this world, but here in Michigan, there are three that we can tackle and that we can fix. So first, and again, nod with me, okay? Because let's, call and response. Yeah. So first, nod with me if you agree that rich people in Michigan have gotten away with not paying their fair share in taxes for too long. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second problem is that rich people that don't have to pay their fair share then use that money that they save on taxes to then buy our politicians in Lansing. Okay, Paul, remember, that's the biggest applause line. Okay. So then third problem is because rich people don't pay their fair share in taxes and then buy our politicians, they, as we would say at Fund My Future, because Paul's with us too. You all know Paul. Hell yeah, Paul. Okay. As we would say, we then artificially suppress workers' rights and privileges like paid family leave. Okay, that was a little wonky. Okay, got it. We'll stick to the corporate power one. Okay, yeah. But so those three problems, rich people not paying their fair share, rich people buying politicians, and then, to be honest, rich people making working people's lives harder. Those three things, we think we have a solution at Fund My Future, but we need your help. So, first, what if we made a ballot initiative statewide in November 2026 that said, make rich people pay their fair share in taxes in Michigan, and then take all that money and put it in the schools? Okay. That's our first ballot initiative. Our second ballot initiative in November 2026, what if you saw Prop 2 that said, get corporate money out of Michigan politics? What if then the third thing, our proposal 3 in November 2026 was create earned paid sick time and paid family leave just as a right? So if you agree with all that, Paul's going to hand you some things, and you got a QR code your phone, so you can sign up to stay tuned with us, because what we call this three-part thing is making a Michigan for the many. And we're doing polling right now. We got a few big backers from DC and some of the unions that are helping pay for polling. So once that comes out, we're going to file the ballot language in May, and we're going to hit the ground running in June or July. So we need as many people as possible to sign up on these things, to stand with, to be honest, since we're on Royal Oak, stand with me and Paul in front of the Krogers or the Myers and harass people as they go in to get this on the ballot. Because we need 5,000 volunteers to collect 600,000 signatures for each of those ballot initiatives. And then we need 2.3 million people to vote for this in November 2026. But that's easy math. That's easy math. It's math, but it's easy. So we can get there. And we need your help by doing these QR codes and then standing with us at the Krogers. Any questions? All right. Also, I have to go catch a flight soon. So I'm going to start, but Paul's going to handle it. But you raise your hand first, miss. You know what's funny? As we've been doing this talk for the last couple months, depending on where we are, that's the first question. So I represent Royal Oak, so I get it. 'Cause we're upper middle class, so we're like, rich, yeah, those bastards. But wait a second. I mean, I got a 401k, so I'm better off than 49% of Americans. So wait, who's rich? So we have, great question. We have polling out there that's asking whether married filing jointly is 500K and up, or $1 million married filing jointly and up. Now, ideally, just based on polling and hold on, I'm explaining it. No, income. So 500K, married filing jointly income, or income, married filing jointly 350K, or married filing jointly $1 million. So we have polling out that's asking which one of those three. Now, ideally, we have enough rich people in Michigan that are rich enough, I guess, that we can do a millionaire's tax, and that's just great messaging and slam dunk, right? But the funny thing is, because we use data from all these different groups, if we did that, we'd actually raise like $700 million for the schools, and the school aid fund is $20 billion. So our goal is to raise close to $2 billion a year, because the schools have a $4 billion annual gap. So we want to close half of that. So we might have to raise taxes on people with 500K in annual income or more a year, but like by 4%. So yeah. Okay. Boy, a lot more questions now. I'm gonna let Paul take it because this seems like the tough part. So Paul, you take this part. I'm gonna leave my cards in the back. You can call me on my cell phone anytime. Okay.
All right. I get behind. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I'm not sure what this initiative is. This is the first time I've seen it flyer, but we talk about how much money we have in the state as far as education. The Michigan lottery generally generates over $1 billion a year. What is the state of Michigan and all of these elected officials that are elected by the people who are at the top of the organizational chart? What are they doing to ensure that that money goes to the actual public schools and not to administrative salary? And that's my question.
Okay, I'm fairly certain that the money is there in the state of Michigan. We have the school aid fund. So the school aid fund ensures that money that goes to the school aid fund goes to schools. And generally that's K through 12. So and you're probably right, it's around $1 billion, but like Charlie just said, the school budget is $20 billion. So really, the lottery is only covering 5% of the school budget. With Michele's there, you can back me up. She's probably knows this better than I do. She would be a better one to take this. Is that correct, Michele? Do I?
Yes,
Yeah.
and also I feel like I've understood in the past that they're counting on that money so that, affects how they decide to, fund the school aid fund. It's not like it's above and beyond what they're expecting to fund the schools.
So,
Just a component of funds.
but basically the lottery is only 5% of schools and it's going to the school aid fund and it's part of the.
Most of it is going to administrative staff.
It goes to
It's not
all,
going to the public.
it going to schools. So
It's going to various schools, not in the African American community.
it goes to all schools.
Like the message overall, but your very beginning is off-putting. I recommend a change to, we recognize taxes are necessary and we support necessary taxes. We like taxes, nobody likes taxes. Poor people don't like taxes, rich people don't like taxes. I just recommend a suggested change.
Yeah, good, very good. I've done this presentation too. And I kind of come at it a little bit differently. I list all those things like roads and parks and public health and, all those things that we depend on and we want and we need as a society and a community. So I agree with you. Thanks for, so Charlie?
Do you have any plans to do anything about the really rich people, the people that don't file AGI numbers on their taxes, but borrow money from their stock funds, use it as collateral, and then live off of that, which is what people like Musk do, the Amway people, that's what they do. Are you gonna go after that money? Because that's where the real big money is.
I think we have to think long-term, and I think that idea is fantastic, that, we need to go after more money. We need a more equitable tax system as a whole. I mean, ever since Reagan, before Reagan, we used to tax the highest income earners at 54%. You go back to Nixon era, it was 74%. Now we're down to 39 is the highest. So clearly we've
I'm
had.
talking about wage earners. I'm talking about trust fund people that don't earn wages.
Well, and also with the 2017 tax cut, tax stealing, which is just, going to become permanent. You have an inheritance tax and they eliminated that, right? So there's no longer an inheritance tax. That's kind of, the trust fund transferring to the heirs and it doesn't get touched, right? So here again, we're seeing tax policy that's totally benefiting the rich and is totally hurting the lower income people. So, but the reason we have this ballot initiative, we got to make iterative steps. This is what's palatable. This is what we can do at this moment in time. And we have to think long term. So, okay, this is our first step, but then, what's the next step and the step after that in order to reverse this change that we've seen come about over the last 40, 50 years. So. Yeah, go ahead.
She alluded to, maybe I'm wrong, that the money from the lottery doesn't necessarily get applied to the education fund in addition, but it actually displaces money that might have been put in from other sources. What's to prevent that from happening with this money? It's not going to increase the education budget, it's just going to help supply what's already there. Do you get my drift?
So the way the Michigan, and again, Michele, I'm going to depend on you. The way it's set up is there's certain buckets. Okay, a certain amount of property tax goes to the school aid fund. So this is like allocated. A certain percentage of our property tax, goes to our municipalities, but another certain percentage goes to the school aid fund. Our sales tax largely goes to the school aid fund. These are sources that fund schools and they're allocated. You can't make changes. And the lottery is largely also goes to the school aid fund. So how this initiative is going to work, Charlie kind of just how the initiative is going to work is up to the first $500,000, we're all going to pay the same tax rate that we currently pay. Right now it's 4.25%. All monies that are collected that are, so all the income above 500,000 would be taxed at either 8-9%, somewhere in that range. We haven't arrived at the number. It hasn't been totally finalized. We don't have the ballot initiative out quite yet, but it's looking like it's going to be between 8 and 9%. So that additional 4% on that income above 500,000 would also be allocated to the school aid fund. So that's how it's set up. Well, one more time then. If it's
and so the state says, oh, look, there's all that money. I don't have to put other budget money in
Yeah.
there.
Very, very little of the general fund, or only a small percentage. What percentage of this general fund money ends up in the school budget? There's certain areas that are allocated to the school, and that's how we pay for our schools with allocated money. So it's not general fund money that finances education. There's only a small percentage of the general fund money ends up in what percentage of the general fund money ends up in education? Of the state of Michigan. So I have some detailed charts. I can get back to you on that information and tell you exactly. Pardon?
This just displaces general fund money.
Right. Correct. Yes. Mike.
Is there any general downside to bringing in more money into the system from people who currently aren't paying, or is it generally an upside?
I would say it's generally an upside. The one thing is, people of higher income will leave the state. That would be the downside that they'll take residency in Florida and Texas where they don't pay any income tax at all. Tom?
I just wanted to clarify, right now, the Michigan Constitution outlaws the graduated income tax. It's unconstitutional for the legislature to tax rich people at a higher rate than poor people. Everybody pays the same percentage.
Yeah.
This constitutional amendment will allow the legislature to tax rich people at a higher rate than poor people. That's why it's important to pass it. Without this constitutional amendment, the legislature will not be able to tax rich people at a higher rate than poor people. That's the essence of the change.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, go ahead.
The objections that would come up to this, that people want school vouchers, that the people that have the money want vouchers to go to private schools versus.
I mean, yeah, they're out there, right? I mean, they send their kids to private schools and they want the state to pay for it, right? So they, but, and they're all about, we don't care about public education, right? So, public schools is what made our country great, Okay, any? Yes.
Is there a place that people who are interested in having this conversation with others can go to get talking points or data points to be more versed in this issue? And
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's QR code would, I haven't done it yet, but I assume when you go on, you'll have an opportunity to input your name and email address, and you'll get on the distribution. And volunteers are gathering. We have volunteer meetings weekly, so you can participate and link in that way. So I think,
Yeah, it was all right.
The site, when I look it up, here it says it's a private site.
Yeah.
ooh,
Right, it does.
and there's 2 QR codes. Is there one? Shoot. I just got these yesterday, so from someone else. I do have Fund My Future. In fact, is there any way we could, can we post this on the screen? I got some small QR codes from Fund My Future, and I know for sure that we can get
And if you go to our agenda, it's the link. If you just tap on it, it goes straight to the website.
Okay, right there. And then this, there we go. When you went to the website, okay, so.
We'll share it as well, but yeah,
So,
that is
so
on the agenda.
in the weekly email from Michael, click on that link and you can enter your name, email address, and zip code.
Perfect. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Big round of applause. Thank you so much. We have Amanda from the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. Yeah. Just give me a second. Do we have Sam from Michigan One Wage? Hey, come on down. So Sam is from Michigan One Fair Wage, and he's talking about the importance of combating sick leave and paid family leave, correct?
So specifically raising.
Raising, yes. Thank you so much.
Hi. I want to thank you all for having me here. My name is Sam, and I am the Michigan organizer with One Fair Wage. We are a nonprofit that is dedicated to raising wages for tipped workers in the state of Michigan. So I want to take a second and talk a little bit about the history of tipping, why we're fighting the fight we're fighting. So since emancipation, restaurants specifically have had a special ability, unlike other businesses and industries, to pay their employees sub-minimum wages. One of the reasons why is because restaurants and train cars with the Pullman porters were some of the only industries who were willing to hire Black people post-emancipation. So the so-called tip credit was essentially an ability for those employers to pay their Black employees no money and have their customers supplement those wages through tips. Since then, the federal minimum wage for tipped employees, this sub-minimum wage has risen from $0 to $2.13 an hour. In the state of Michigan, the tipped wage for tipped workers is $4.01 an hour. In the way that our federal labor laws work means that an employee is eligible to receive that sub-minimum wage if they make as little as $30 a month in tips. So we are in a situation where people who are very, very economically desperate, having to rely on the generosity of strangers in order to survive. I am also a server on top of my organizing work. We have been fighting for the past 7 years in our state to end this practice. We believe that it is fundamentally unjust to have classes of people who you are allowed to pay less than other classes of people. I understand that tipping is very contentious in this country. We have a lot of conversations about who to tip, how much to tip, and when and where and when it's appropriate. And one of the reasons why this is happening is because people who are involved in the restaurant lobby have convinced a lot of people in our state and throughout the country that in order to maintain the restaurant industry, tipping is required, that they need to pay their employees so little in order to keep their doors open. This is not true. We have data from 7 other states that shows that restaurants that pay their servers a full minimum wage with tips on top, the servers report making more money. The restaurant industry in those states is thriving. The idea that every restaurant is immediately going to close if this happens is just fundamentally untrue. At the same time, the Department of Justice has reported that rates of wage theft in the restaurant industry are as high as 85%. So the idea that restaurant owners are responsible for making up the difference between what somebody earns in tips and their minimum wage, that's a great idea in theory. In practice, it simply does not happen. So we have a lot of really sort of contradictory ideas at play here. We have people saying that if they raise wages for servers, for other tipped workers, that their businesses are immediately going to close. The economy of Michigan is going to be in shambles. And we also have data showing that 85% of restaurants are engaging in wage theft. We have data that shows that tipped workers face higher rates of sexual harassment than any other demographic. And one of the reasons why is because as tipped workers, we have to rely on tips. If we don't grin and bear it and put up with some of the worst behavior you've ever seen, I mean, we've all been to restaurants. We've all seen somebody having a temper tantrum because they can't get exactly what they want. So I will address questions in just a sec. I'm almost done. So what One Fair Wage is doing is engaging in what is called a veto referendum. So in February, Senate Bill 8 passed, which maintains a 2-tiered wage system. As an organization and also personally as a server, I don't think that this is acceptable. Having that 2-tiered wage system continues this system where very desperate and vulnerable people are having to put up with harassment, discrimination, all kinds of terrible things just to pay their bills. It does not work like that in any other industry. And the fact that the restaurant industry gets away with this for so long is, the cracks are starting to show. You're starting to see more and more places where you traditionally have never tipped before start asking for tips. And one of the reasons why is because of that $30 a month in tips rule that, sorry. So if you have, somebody working as a gas station clerk and suddenly they have a tip screen in front of them, if they're making $30 a month, suddenly they're eligible to make only $4.01 an hour. And that is the direction that we're moving in if we don't do something to stop it. Yeah, so we're seeing tip screens show up in more places where you don't traditionally tip. The way our labor laws are set up, if, for example, a gas station clerk manages to make $30 a month in tips from that screen in front of their register, suddenly they are eligible to make $4.01 an hour.
As opposed to the $2.
Well, the 213 is the federal subminimum. The Michigan subminimum is 401. The percentage rate it's currently at is 38% of the minimum wage. So when the minimum wage increases, it proportionally increases. Senate Bill 8 will raise that to 50% of the minimum wage, but like I said, that is still the same fundamental situation that we're in, where people are desperate for tips. You are, you've all had a situation where you've been served by somebody who you can tell really, really wants that tip from you. And it's awkward, it's uncomfortable on all ends of it. So what we're trying to do as an organization is set up what's called a veto referendum. If we are able to gather 300,000 signatures, not as many as a full ballot referendum, we will be able to revert the law of the state of Michigan so that tipped workers will gradually receive pay increases until it reaches 100% of the minimum wage with tips on top. So what that means is if you earn a tip, you can have a tip. But it also means that the tip is not going to be the vast majority of your income. So I can take some questions.
I don't want you to be offended by what I'm going to say. I'm African American, and I'm a little concerned that in this large group of people. Can you share the microphone with me? Is this a working mic?
Let's not share the mic, but what's your question?
Okay, so I'll speak up a little louder. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I am concerned about the fact that I'm a precinct delegate in Farmington Hills. I've been a precinct delegate in the city of Southfield for a long, long time. I have never gone to an organization meeting such as the Dems and not seen one African-American person in this large crowd. So I'm concerned. I'm sure that you have African-American members, but as to why they won't come out and attend this meeting and be here today, I'm even more concerned. The data that you said that you collected for the one fair wage of Michigan, I know that you're talking about restaurants and tip workers in general, but is there any specific data that speaks to tipped workers and what you would call affluent, non-African-American restaurants versus restaurants that would be, say, in the inner city area?
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to that. I'm also African American. I totally understand where you're coming from here.
I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to put the.
I understand. So this is one of our tenets as an organization is that this is a racial justice issue. So as an African American server, I have worked in many restaurants. I have worked in more inner city, smaller places, and I've also worked at more affluent places. And I would be lying to you if I said that racism is not a factor in the discrepancies that tipped workers can make in the variances that people receive. So those are all things that factor in. So we believe that if our employers are held to the standard of any other employer and are forced to pay us equal wages for our work, then that discrepancy evens out a little bit. So you won't have there have been many instances in my life where I'm like, oh, I did not get a tip from this table because I'm a Black person. You can just kind of tell when that's happening. So having our employers become responsible for paying our wages like they should be is a way to mitigate those effects. I don't know if that answers your question.
Not really what I understood what you said. It just seems like a lot of the initiatives that we are talking about right now in terms of the state of Michigan are not centered towards the African-American community and how you can alleviate abject poverty. And we already know that there's a lot of abject poverty in the state of Michigan in a lot of the African-American communities. And I'm almost appalled that every time there's an election, we use all the political buzzwords. You might hear reparations, you might hear the wage and the free tips, but you don't really hear the formula
There's other
or the
questions, so
solution on how to
we're
deal
gonna
with
move
it.
on.
So
Do
thank
you have
you
another
so much,
question?
sir. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir.
One question was asked, and maybe we should limit it to that.
I'm sorry?
One question was asked, and maybe we should limit it to people who have other.
Yes, limit to one question. Next.
Thank you.
Just for my own clarification. So like, for example, when I go to the fancy coffee place and I get my fancy coffee, and their tip screen comes up. So the barista, I say they're making $15 an hour. So people put tips on the screen. And are you saying if they make over $30 a month in tips or 30%?
So the way that our labor system works as it is, if a barista were to average $30 a month in tips, their employer would be allowed to pay them as little as $401.
So they're gonna drop their pay.
That's something that's a possibility. So the way a lot of counter service places work, because the understanding is that people don't tip as often as they do in table service places, that's one of the reasons why their hourly wage tends to be higher, but that also kind of points out a contradiction in the service, in the system in and of itself, that hang on a second, the barista's doing just as much work for me as the server, and I have been a barista. They do a lot of work. It's not easy. So that barista, basically, we have people in other industries outside the restaurant industry who are wanting to get in on the sub-minimum wage thing. We also have sorry, I'm trying to answer your question the best I can. So baristas also in Michigan, it's very unlikely they're making 15 an hour. That's actually pretty rare, especially in this area. But yeah, for example, yeah. So a barista, depending on the place, a barista is averaging an additional like $7 an hour in tips. They don't get tipped quite as frequently as full service waiters, but those tips do act as like an additional supplement. But it's the kind of situation where like it's actually not a big deal if you don't tip at the coffee shop. It's the kind of thing that like, it's nice to do. You probably should throw in a couple bucks, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world like it is at a full service restaurant.
I just want to clarify though, that if they do make over $30 in tips a month, then it might be feasible in the future that their income may be dropped.
Yes, the House of Representatives in Colorado actually just voted to do something very similar for their tipped workers.
We need two more questions.
I just have a suggestion. I've been in the service industry for many years in my life, and I would say if you're going to tip anybody, give them cash. Let them put it in their pocket. Because it's well deserved.
Tom?
Yeah, you mentioned the phrase wage theft. I think that bears repeating. I worked a lot of years in the industry too. And if your sub minimum wage plus tips doesn't equal the minimum wage, they're supposed to pay you the minimum wage. In fact, that almost never happens. They don't do the math. They pay you the sub minimum wage anyways. They're stealing money from millions of workers every year. And this ballot initiative would put an end to that. It's worth doing just for that reason alone. Stop.
One more question?
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
Waitresses, they don't just bring you your food. On their downtime for when I was a waitress at $2.65 an hour, I think it was $1.90 an hour when I started. We cleaned the walls, we mopped, we scrubbed the counters, we for free. I mean, you can't clean somebody's house that cheap. So think of that too. 30%.
One more question?
Yeah. How do we get on the ballot?
Yeah, I have some flyers also with QR codes here. I am happy to hand them out to anybody who is interested. We are gathering volunteers. We're in the process of finalizing our petition language. With veto referendums, we don't need as many signatures as with a full ballot referendum, but we are looking for people who can help us spread the word, who can help us gather signatures, and who can help us find more people to volunteer.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. Next up, we have Amanda from the Michigan League of Conservation Voters and how we can hold Republican lawmakers accountable. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to be here in front of a room of people that are ready to fight back for our democracy, for our environment, for our rights. Thank you for being here this morning. I am here to talk to you about 3 ways that Michigan LCV can help you hold congressional Republicans, Trump, and the unelected Elon Musk accountable. So 3 ways. The first way is every week, the League of Conservation Voters is having a accountability phone bank. They're either on Wednesdays or Thursday evenings. And this phone banking is either to one of your neighboring congressmen, either Rep. Tom Barrett or Rep. John James, asking them to stop that rollback of environmental protections that we're at risk of. These are the protections that keep lead out of our water. These are the protections that make our air safe to breathe and our water clean to drink. And congressional Republicans want to roll them back. So we're doing these accountability phone banks. Now, how many of you have phone banked before? Oh, we love a phone banker. So many fun stories come out of phone banking. And honestly, that's the best attitude to have with phone banking is laugh off the tough conversations. And then just once per night, you get one that's like, wow, that was actually really inspirational. And there's people out there who really care. Phone banking is also the second most effective way to do direct constituent contact. The first is, can anyone guess? Canvassing. Yeah. But in terms of, so it's the second most way to reach out to constituents directly. And I can go a little bit through our phone banking script just for the folks who haven't phone banked before to kind of get an idea of what phone banking would be like and how easy it would be. So I need someone to pretend to be a person I'm calling.
I will.
Awesome. Do me a favor. The pushback I want you to give is like you're making dinner, okay? Otherwise, be like amenable. You care about the environment. You're willing to make the call. But give me a little pushback like, I don't have time for this. Right. And what's your name?
PG.
PG. Awesome. Ring, 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 ring.
Who's calling?
Hi, this is Amanda from the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. I'm calling for PG.
Where are you calling from?
The Michigan League of Conservation Voters. We're an
Do
environmental.
you know what time it is?
It's 7 o'clock. It's dinner
You know
time.
that most people like to prepare dinner at 7 o'clock at night. Don't you know that I'm married?
Oh, don't worry. I only will take about a minute. Oh my gosh. Because people are at work and I got you on the phone. Oh my goodness.
What's your telephone number? Because it didn't come up on the caller ID. Why did you start 67 and block it?
Oh, actually, it would come up with a telephone number. With our system, we have telephone numbers that
See, I know it would. I would just say that as a deterrent.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You.
Well, don't worry. I'll only take about a minute of your time. Do you care about fighting climate
I don't have a
change?
minute. I've got about 10 seconds. So what you got?
Yeah. Do you care about fighting climate change?
Well, I care about it, and I care about projects that are too dense in areas that would affect the conservation of the state of Michigan or the city.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing
How much
that.
do you care?
Enough to make this phone call and about 300 more tonight.
Well,
So
is this just for Royal Oak, or is this for the entire?
this is for the entire state. So have you heard about the? Oh, I have a question.
The Michigan League of Conservation is not concerned about these projects that are too dense in the city and taking those projects up north where our residents up north.
All right. So I'm going to tell you something.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling.
Wow.
My husband is calling me for dinner.
So that's a phone call that wouldn't necessarily get anywhere because that person obviously doesn't want to talk to me. I want to show the script to you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let Mike do.
Yeah. Ring, 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 ring.
Good evening, how are you?
Oh, hi. I'm calling for Mike.
This is Mike, that's me.
Hi, Mike. This is Amanda from the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. I'm calling with a quick action you can take to hold our congressional Republicans accountable. Do you care about fighting climate change?
Absolutely, and you're a good group. I've heard about you guys.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad you've heard of us. I'm really passionate about this work because I think we all deserve to live on a clean, healthy planet. Now, have you heard about the rollbacks that congressional Republicans are trying to do?
Yeah, I've seen that in the paper and some online. I try not to stay online because it drives people nuts, including me.
Yeah, definitely. So essentially what's happening, President Biden, under his purview, passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the highest amount of investment in addressing climate change that our country has ever done. And congressional Republicans are trying to roll that back now. And we've got to stop them.
Agreed.
So what I'm asking you to do is leave a quick 30-second voicemail for Congressman James, your congressman,
Yes,
to ask him to stop the rollback of these protections.
I will do that.
Awesome.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, thank you. Here, do you have a pen? I can tell you what to say,
Yeah.
and then we would go from there.
Thanks for calling.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. So I want to thank both of our people because, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you that phone banking is like rosy all the time. You're going to get people that yell at you. You're going to get people that don't want to talk to you, but you're also going to have conversations like that, at least 4 or 5 per night, where someone actually wants to patch through and leave a voice message. And when you have multiple people making those phone banking calls, getting 4 or 5 people to call their congressman, it adds up. We get sometimes 40, 50 patch throughs all at once in a night. And then some intern for the congressman the next morning has to write out all those messages and tally them up and report out about how many people care about environmental protections. So my ask for you now is, can I count on you to phone bank with us?
That bad, it's not like that.
Yeah.
If they're rude and they
Oh,
want
wait.
to say, have a nice day.
Yeah.
You're done, I mean, it's not.
Without having someone call me, can I just get the information and the number?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I can send that along.
Okay.
So everyone, if you're willing to, if you said yes, I will phone bank. Get out your calendar right now. Look at April 9th, which is next Wednesday. Oh, I see some phones out. Great. 5:30 on Zoom. You don't have to go anywhere. Eat dinner at 5 o'clock, 5:30, or eat dinner during the training at the beginning. Hold on your calendar, 5:30 Wednesday, the 9th. Awesome. The second thing that I want to talk to you about in terms of actions to hold congressional Republicans, Trump and Elon Musk accountable is Oakland County Earth Day. Who has heard of Oakland County Earth Day before? Woody knows, he's one of my co-planners on Oakland County Earth Day there in the back. I'm the lead organizer on Oakland County Earth Day this year from the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. And this is not Earth Day as usual. So for those who don't know, Oakland County Earth Day is a rally. It is a march through downtown Royal Oak, and it is a fair. It is the largest Earth Day event in Oakland County. And it is all about, showing that we care about our Earth and that we are going to work to defend it. So I want you to come to Oakland County Earth Day. It's April 26th, which is the Saturday after Easter if you celebrate. And it is 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I don't want you to just attend. I want you to volunteer. This is a huge undertaking. We need people to, as we're marching, keep everyone safe, make sure there's water. We need people to stand at the Welcome Center and welcome people to the fair, make sure they know about all the great opportunities to learn about environmental efforts in their community and take opportunities to take action there at the fair. We need people for experienced phone bankers and things like that, coaching people through how to sign a petition, coaching people through calling their legislator right then and there, coaching them through doing a one-click action so that we can actually, at the end, tally up everything we've done, every person that's attended, every demonstration of an environmentally friendly product, every action that was taken at that event, and report it out. And know the impact of this event we've had. So, April 26th at 3 to 7 p.m. I would love to have you there as a volunteer or an attendee or both. And it's at the Royal Oak Farmers Market. Great question. Yeah. All right. So those are two ways. The last way is if you Google Michigan LCV Action Hub, there are a lot of ways that you can take action right there and there. That's where the information to call your legislator will be. Michigan LCV Action Hub. And there will also be information if you want to attend an event with us or host an event with us. Host your own phone bank party. In-person phone banks at your house are the best kind of phone banks. The energy, infectious. I encourage you to check out Michigan LCV Action Hub, and I'll make sure to send that along so that it gets sent out to the group. So those are 3 ways that you can, with Michigan LCV, hold congressional Republicans accountable. I really appreciate you hearing me out today. I have a sign-up sheet that I'm just going to pass through the group. I have to leave soon. If you're interested in our volunteer list, put your name down. If you're interested in the phone bank on April 9th, you can put PB next to your name. And if you're interested in volunteering for Earth Day, make sure to write Earth Day next to your name. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love Michigan LCV. Thank you. So next up, before we get to our candidate section, because we have a very important municipal leaders race, we have our wonderful precinct delegate coordinator, William Asher, who's give us an update about all the stuff he's been doing and new resources. So come on up. Hey, round of applause for him. Beer, band, or water. Whatever you're gonna play.
Hi, I'm William Asher, the precinct delegate liaison for the Royal Oak Democratic Club. And I guess part of my responsibilities is to recruit precinct delegates and precinct volunteers. And what we've done most recently is with Michael's help here, we've added 2 parts to our webpage. Actually, many parts. One is the precinct delegate, precinct volunteer resource page.
The Wi-Fi's fighting me.
Oh, no.
We'll get there. There we go. Oh, sorry. Resource page.
Yeah, PD resources. There we go. So I should stand to the side. And I have a little paragraph on what a precinct delegate is. And down below is precinct delegate resources. But what I used to do is I'd send out emails to the precinct delegates with attachments. And then I would lose the attachments, and imagine everybody else would too. So with Michael's help, we've created a resource area in Google Docs, which has 4 folders. Let's see, go back up 1 level. And so there's 4 folders in here. One is precinct delegate emails. So this has the emails that I've sent out, and you can go back and look at them there. There's one. This one, mentioned it briefly. It's a report of a strategy meeting that we had 3 weeks ago in March. 4 people showed up, including at least 10 volunteers. And Mallory McMorrow spoke to us and gave us some ideas. And everybody brainstormed, and we came up with some ideas, which are in that email. So if you're a precinct delegate or a precinct volunteer, or if you'd like to be one, this is a resource where you can get started. Go back up 1 level. And one of the things that Mallory McMorrow recommended and other people echoed was creating a handout sheet, an information sheet that you could give to the constituents in your precinct. Tell them about voting, and about elections and activism. So, Michael just clicked on it. So this is the sheet that I created for my precinct, giving basic voting information. And I actually started canvassing. I went to probably 30 or 40 houses the last couple of days and got amazing responses from people. Many of them were interested in coming to a block party that we're gonna have in our precinct later on in the spring. And it'll be amazing. So the handout that I was giving to people is there in the website, and if anybody else creates one for their precinct, send it to me and I'll post it in here so other people can look at it. Meanwhile, if you look at my handout and have comments about it, improvements, criticisms, send them my way because I want to make it perfect. Okay, back up. And yes, I'll back up to your website. Yeah. So another thing on that Michael's done on the website is he's created a page for the precinct voter map. And that links to a map that I created. I'm very proud of it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I was motivated to create it because the city has a precinct website that many of you know about. And if you zoom in on it, you can't see any detail because the street names are all obscure. And what's happening?
Sorry.
So that's fine. So if you click on any one of the precincts, it shows you the polling place up in the upper left here. All of the elected officials, US and county and precinct delegates, just Democratic precinct delegates. Covers Marlowe and Clausen. And what's more, if you go to the search bar, yeah, okay, search. If you type in an address, looks like it might be Michael's address.
Okay. The computer's fighting me, sorry. There we go, but right there.
Yeah, so that's the only, where is it?
Oh, it's right here.
Yeah, there it is. It brings up his precinct and his representatives. And that can work with any address in the city. If you're talking to somebody and they don't know what precinct they're in, you type their address in and it pulls it right out. So the precinct map is here on the website, and the precinct delegate resources are there on the website. Just the two things I wanted to tell you about. And the link says,
Use it. Learn about being a precinct delegate.
yeah, and anybody, even if you're not a precinct delegate, you can look at these resources and maybe get inspired, and then you can contact me. I need to put, hey, there's a contact place on there that you, where is it?
It's a contact relative.
PD resources.
Yeah. The Wi-Fi's fighting me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's all good. It's all there. It's all good.
yeah, on the PD resources page, there's a link. It just goes to royaloakdemocrat@gmail.com. But you can contact us and ask and volunteer to be a precinct delegate or precinct volunteer. That's it.
Cool. Thank you so much. Well, the Wi-Fi is running out, but one nice thing is too, as you reach and contact your elected officials, we have every elected official from US Senate down to school board for Clausen Royal Oak in there, but Wi-Fi at home hopefully is better. All right, we're now up to our candidate section. Who wants to get off first? All right, we'll start with Woody.
Good morning, everybody. As Michael said, I'm Woody Gantino. It's nice to see so many smiling faces on a dreary Saturday morning like this. So thank you for making me here. I am running for City Commission this year. I currently serve on the Planning Commission. I've been on the Planning Commission for about 5 years. I also chair the Environmental Advisory Board. Is this better? Sorry. I don't want to be too so I've been doing a lot of work with the city for the past several years. I'm going on 18 years as a resident. I've been very fortunate to build an incredible family in this city, mainly due to this city. I love this community, and I think it's one of the things that makes our family so strong. And that's actually one of the reasons that I'm running for City Commission. The last couple of days in the stock market sort of speaks to the chaos that's being ensued right now. And that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. I want to make sure that the great city that I know that has progressed so well over the past few decades continues to progress well and be a strong city for my kids. I hope that my kids stay in the city, and I want to make sure that I'm doing my part to make sure it stays a strong city for their generation and the next generation. So that's one of the reasons that I'm running for city commission. I'm currently in the petition gathering stage. My table's at the back. If you haven't signed for me to qualify for the ballot, I certainly would appreciate your help. And anyone that you know that might be able to help make sure that I at least qualify for the ballot, which is the stage that I'm at right now, I would certainly appreciate the help. Happy to answer any questions. I'm going to try to make it brief just so I can give Paul a chance to introduce himself as well. I know some of you have heard this spiel before, but some of you haven't. So I also real quickly want to say thank you to some of the volunteers that were out at the farmers market with me last weekend that helped me gather some petition ballot signatures. I really do appreciate that help. You know, it's kind of a cliche phrase about it takes a village, but the reality is that's true. And that's, you know, again, one of the reasons why I'm choosing to run for city commission, because this community is very strong. I appreciate this community so much. And it takes a community to continue to remain strong and support each other and try to survive this chaos that's happening. So that's me.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, next up, come on down. And thanks everybody for dealing with our technology issues, but you know, get through it. The mics struggle sometimes, but Price is Right. Thank you.
Hello and good morning. Good morning. My name is Paul Bastian. I am also running for city commission. Have a table set up at the back for those of you that were here last month and signed. Thank you. For those of you that were here last month and didn't, or those that are just arriving today, of course, I would appreciate your support. I'm also in the signature gathering petition stage. I am a lifelong resident of Royal Oak, minus about 5 years when I moved out of town. I went to Shrine Elementary. I went to Dondero High School. If you can hear me today, I learned how to project on stage in Dondero's productions. You might have seen me there. So I'm a realtor by trade. I am based out of Good Company in downtown Royal Oak. No surprise, housing is one of the major issues that is a plank in my platform. Housing shortage is a national issue, not just Royal Oak, but Royal Oak has a unique opportunity with the master plan drafts that have been forthcoming. And there's a meeting on Tuesday at 7 p.m. of the Planning Commission on which Woody sits, where there will be opportunity for public comment on the master plan. I would encourage you to attend, but in short, we need to find ways to get more residents into Royal Oak, and residents at all income levels, not just the people that can afford the huge homes that some of my peers are building, but the middle class, first time home buyers that built this city. We need to find ways to be inclusive to everybody in Royal Oak and continue to make this a diverse and interesting community. I am also a champion of independent business. I have been fortunate to work at several of them in Royal Oak over my history. If you go downtown, we do see some for lease signs on Main and Washington. I'm interested in finding creative ways to incentivize the building owners in the downtown district to encourage occupancy and reduce some of those vacancies. I'm also a champion of community health. I think that Royal Oak's park system is a fantastic boon to our community. We're able to get out, we're able to enjoy, we're able to exercise there. I also think that there are opportunities for programming for mental health and making that an issue that is just as important on par with physical health as well. In addition, I'll keep it brief, but in addition, I am also on the Historic District Commission. We are working on the preservation of the Vincetta Bridges right now, thanks to our current commission. Those were designated as Royal Oak's most recent historic district. We're working on restoration of that. And I am also on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And as far as housing goes, we just had an issue come up before us recently where a new development that will bring a significant portion of the multifamily units at below market value, accessible, affordable housing. That unit is scheduled to continue on through the process, and that will be built right near the 44th District Court on the site of a current parking lot. So again, I'm at the back like a child on a side street with a lemonade stand waiting for you to come by and sign my petitions. I also have some paperwork there that you can feel free to take with you and a website that you can check out my platform in more detail.
All right, before we get to our amazing mayor, are there any other candidates that I missed? All right, Mayor Fournier, come on up. Big microphone.
I'll use a microphone even though I've never been accused of being quiet in my life. So first off, I guess I'm in sort of this estuary zone as part candidate, part elected official. So I guess since we're on the candidate trail right now, our agenda item, I will just first off tell everybody it's true. I am running for another 2-year term to be mayor of Royal Oak. And I will say the Royal Oak Area Democratic Club, the enthusiasm from all the friends here, from all the work we do, is a big factor in helping us electeds decide to run again. So thank you for all of your help. Thank you for all of the volunteers that have been out there. I was at the farmer's market earlier today with Mike and with Thora, and it was cold. I dressed in layers, realized that I'm old, my hands, I can't even grab a pen, but glad to be here right now. And thank you for all the support and help, because we got to do this together. We have a lot of issues right now that are going to be affecting our community, not just within our community, but that are coming from all the uncertainty at a federal level, all the way down through the state. And it's going to take experienced people, I believe, to help us navigate anticipated rough waters ahead. And so I understand my background in finance is going to actually become very, very helpful and useful. We have a budget meeting coming up on April 12th. And frankly, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to have our normal things that we have to fund and budget that we get through city revenue, but we do depend on a lot of state and federal funding, whether that's grants, whether that's shared revenues. Royal Oak, just speaking specifically to Royal Oak taxpayers pay federal tax. We all pay federal tax, right? It goes to the federal government. And then we don't usually get, what we put in back. But historically, we've planned our city over the last 60, 70, 80 years around certain shared state revenues, certain shared federal revenues. And that's all up in the air. I wish I could give you an answer to say that, oh, you know what, this is all talk. We're still going to get the funding we need from the federal government that we pay. I just want to make sure this isn't charity. The city isn't a charity. The county isn't a charity. We all are taxpayers into the federal system. But there's so much uncertainty right now that this is going to be a very interesting budget planning session that we have. But we're going to do our best to deal with the volatility. We're going to do our best to make sure that we continue to focus on our priorities. This year, our priorities aren't changing dramatically. How we do them may change a little bit based on funding, but aging in place is still going to be a top priority for the city. Like I think Paul mentioned, we at every development that's coming into our community, every residential development, we are working on affordability. We are working on aging in place. We are getting these developers to make a certain percentage of their new developments adjusted with AMI, which is great. I've said it before. I say it up at the podium. I say it up at the dais. And I make a personal remark when I say this, but I have 3 kids. And if they grow up and one decides to be an educator, one decides to be a letter carrier, one decides to be a police officer, if we don't have a place in our communities or in our city for them to live in the town where they grew up in, then shame on all of us. So we have an affordability crisis going on, and every year it's getting worse and worse, especially for our younger people. And especially for those that are trying to age and stay in the community that they've been in for so many decades. So we're tackling it. We're tackling it within our 4 corners. We're not going to be perfect at it. We're not going to solve all the world's problems. But what we hope to do is set that benchmark for everybody in Oakland County, everybody in Southeast Michigan, and everybody in the state to say, oh, look, if you have some courage and you have some values, and you take some risks and you put it in place, we can start to tackle some of these critical issues. So when these things pop up, always appreciate your support, always appreciate your input. We're not perfect. We don't get every decision right. I think the sum of all of our decisions we've made over the years have kept Royal Oak on track. So your help with that is great. So we talked about aging in place. Sustainability is going to continue to be on the forefront. So glad we have Amanda Herzog on the Royal Oak City Commission now. She is bringing a tremendous amount of knowledge and information related to sustainability. And I was supposed to say too, my colleagues are not here today. Most of them are on spring break right now. I decided that, I looked at today's forecast. I'm like, I'm not going to go on spring break. I'm going to stay here in Michigan and enjoy this weather. But they'll be back here in the next couple days. So just to recap real quick, and then I'll take a couple questions. Things are going to get a little rough. It is an election year. We're going to hear some things that aren't true. We're going to hear some things that are true. I just encourage that if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We're 60,000 people, but we're still a small town. If you email us, if you ping us, it might take a day or two before we get through all the mails, but we'll get back to you and kind of answer your questions about any concerns you have or things that you may have heard. And, they might be true, they might not be true. We might have different opinions on things, and that's okay. That's how all this works, right? All the different opinions eventually create the best recipe for success. So with that, any questions? Yes, Joe.
What percentage are you guys preparing for in cuts, federal and state? So give us a high.
From 0 to 100%. Honestly, it depends a little bit. Our city manager, I can answer that question probably after the 12th because they're going through an analysis right now to say, some things are, like if you look what's happening in education, I know we have some school board members here, like, oh, if you have a DEI initiative and all this stuff, like you can kind of predict where the risks are from the federal government. Are we going to get less road funding? Maybe not. I feel a little more comfortable that, everybody of all political persuasions love safe roads and bridges. So I'm hoping that's not at risk. But other things that we're getting for maybe some of our ARPA money could be at risk that we've already pegged and spent. Maybe they claw that back. There's things like that I'm not quite sure yet. So we're going to have that analysis on the 12th, and it's going to be a moving target. So we're going to have to budget and then have contingencies in place to say, okay, well, we think that this is a program from the federal government, let's say, that's at risk, might be worth $1 million. Okay, one, I guess we don't do that thing or we delay it. Or two, it's still a priority. Like a lot of our community block grant funding, I'm really worried about, honestly. I'm really worried about that. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we stop putting playground structures up all over the park or all over the city? No, but does that mean that we have to delay our schedule when we do certain improvements in the neighborhoods that qualify? Probably. So we'll have different contingencies, but it's not going to be, we're going to have to be a little conservative as we move forward in the next couple of years.
So at next meeting, you're going to be able to give us a pretty good report of what went on at least your meeting.
Yes. So if you give me to next month, we'll have we have a very smart finance team and we have a very smart new city manager, Joe Gaccio. And so, I can give you my opinions, but I think that they're the ones that are supposed to be neutral, unbiased, and they'll give us sort of this risk analysis.
So if you're not here, assign it to somebody else to give it.
Yeah, hopefully my Saturday mornings are a little tough for me. I got 3 kids and 3 sports, and I work a full-time job, and at night I do a lot of city stuff, and then Saturday mornings I'm not gonna miss a soccer game. So I'm glad I could be here today. There's no soccer game, so I'll try. I feel like I can be here next time.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for running again. All of us have seen you work, and it's not an easy job, so thanks for volunteering to go again.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. I get humbled by my kids all the time, and to hear something nice like that, really. And you know what? I really do enjoy it. I'm really pumped and excited. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but we're going to have some fights ahead of us. And in a weird way, I'm like, all right, let's go. It's through the fights that we get better. It's how we move the needle. It's how we win. It takes us off our heels and puts us in the front, and it's okay to go out there. And I'm good with it, So if everybody else is in, it makes the job a lot easier. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, I just want to kind of echo Mike's, if any of you have been to a city commission meeting and have got here, Mike, there's always like lots of opposition. The opposition shows up, oh, we can't have housing, safe single family houses. It's a crazy opposition. Mike is very patient. He hears them out. he, moves on. He really conducts the city commission meetings in a very nice way. And, deserves a lot of credit, and your vote this, November, and your signature on his ballot, petition.
With a good sense of humor.
There are a lot of dad jokes. You're right, Elaine. And I'm about as boring and vanilla as you can get. I'm not this, firebrand out there getting in front of the cameras and all that. I mean, I think we just try to keep our nose to the grindstone, get the work done, and deliver on the priorities that we collectively share. And, I'm okay being vanilla Mike. That's fine,
How many city commission seats are?
Great question. There are 3 city commission seats and the mayor's seat that are open. So we're fortunate in our community, the way the charter's written, that we stagger the commission seat. The mayor has to run every 2 years, and commissioners run every 4. But in some communities, they have the entire city council or city commission running, and sometimes they all get voted out, and then you have a whole bunch of new people in there. So it's, at least with us, you always have an experienced set of commissioners that will be on the board, which is, I think, pretty smart.
Only one open seat, right? Because other people are running to get their seats back. I think there's only one open commission.
Yeah, I can only speak to my candidacy right now.
I think what we can do is set up a rink up here and have these 2 fight it out right here. And we just forget the election. Okay.
Yeah, and
Good to me.
yes, Michael.
That's a good question. So I know that sometimes at the city commission meetings, while they're entertaining, it's a very vocal minority. Is there ways as community members that we could provide our input, whether it's for, I don't know if the master plan, if there's more meetings, but like, how can we be helpful from just passionate residents about our city commission and what we're doing for the city?
Yeah, Michael, great question, and totally understand. I mean, when I look at city commission meetings on Monday nights or planning commission meetings on Tuesday nights, we all have jobs, we have family, we have all stuff we got to do. Not everybody can come out and, express their opinions at a city commission meeting. So I think some of the things we can do is, one, just always be informed, right? Just always be informed about what's going on and try to understand both sides of the argument. Because even though the opposition comes out, sometimes there's not everybody's out there for a political vendetta. There are some people that have like genuine concerns, like, oh, I'm concerned about traffic. Okay, like, yeah, we're all concerned. Like, we don't want to create burdens, but sometimes there may be a trade-off. Sometimes your fear is unfounded with, the analysis that our city engineer did. So I think number 1, always try to be informed. 2, if you can come out and you decide you want to support, let's just say, a housing initiative or support something that's on the agenda, it is helpful from a media point of view when they only see the same 5 people and they only quote the same 5 people. Well, as I know, Royal Oakers, see things the right way. It's when people from outside of our community read the newspapers or whatever, they may have a misunderstanding about what's going on. So if you have time to come out on a Monday night and lend your voice and do it in a way, it's tough. And it's tough for me up there sometimes to keep my cool, but to bite my tongue maybe. But to be empathetic to other people and to stay above the standard. So sometimes people say things up there and frankly speaking, it's beneath the standard to respond to. You hear, oh, those people from Detroit or those people from Pontiac are going to move in. It's like, yeah, we're not going to respond to that. That's beneath our standard, beneath us. Let's talk about what we're doing as a community. Let's talk about the positive things, the issues we're trying to solve. Let's acknowledge we're not always going to see everything the same way. But because or if we disagree with somebody, it doesn't mean that they're stupid or corrupt. It just means that we see the world a different way and we got to talk this out. And I think if we come to these meetings or we comment on Facebook and we do it with an empathetic ear, but also with a firm grasp of what our values are, I think we'll find not only success in the candidates that we try to elect, but we'll find success as a community, changing the narratives and changing the dialogue and changing the tone, at least within our 4 corners. All right, any other questions? Well, great. I like it. There's not a lot of, these were softball questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's whatever, thank you. And again, our city commission, we're so grateful to be in a community that we have such a great school board, city commission, elected officials. Don't take it for granted. I've been in a city where the city council went awry. But next up, our school board, come on up.
Okay. Do you want to take the superintendent search part? Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Chambers.
Look, I've not really practiced, but can you hear me now? Awesome. Like, so news in the school district, since you've seen us all last month, the superintendent has announced her retirement. So we just became really, really, really busy. But we have a whole lot of opportunities for students, staff, and community members to participate in our selection process. Let me go back one step. We had interviewed 2 separate organizations that conduct superintendent searches throughout the state. We heard both of them. We had meetings with both of them. All those meetings were open to the public. Unfortunately, nobody came to see us work, but we did the work. And we chose the Michigan Association of School Boards to lead the district through the search process. We have a lot of dates set up. Probably the most important date for everyone here is April 23rd. And April 23rd at the board office, there is going to be a public input session where anybody can come, whether you have students in the district, grandkids, or just residents, because we know that the school district is one of the most important things to our community and maybe one of the reasons many of us live here in Royal Oak. So if you come to the board office, I believe it's at 5 o'clock on April 23rd is when you'll have an opportunity to have an in-person meeting with our consultant who's leading us through that process of selecting the superintendent. On May 1st, the application process for the position does close. It's open right now. It's been open for about 2 weeks or so. So over the last 2 weeks and until May 1st, we're accepting applications for the position of superintendent. On May 13th and 14th, those are both open meetings to the public at the board office as well. We're conducting our first round interviews. It's going to be 2 nights. It might be a very long 2 nights. But for those 2 nights, we're going to allow anybody in the audience to also submit their suggestions and their opinions on the candidates that we've selected for the first round of interviews. And on May 16th, which is 2 days later, so we're going to have a whole lot of pressure and not a lot of time to complete the presentation we're going to require of that candidate to give us on May 16th. We'll be having the second and most likely final round of interviews. And as it looks, probably on May 16th at that meeting, we'll be selecting our new superintendent. And that new superintendent, all going according to plan, will start on July 1st. Superintendent Fitzpatrick has agreed to stay through July 31st in her resignation, her retirement letter. She's going to work through July, so our hope is it's going to be an entire month where the new superintendent and the new one can work together and kind of do a nice little transition and make everything go smoothly as possible. Does anyone have any questions about all the fun we're having on the school board right now?
How hard do you feel that you're gonna be? What are you guys planning for kids? Financially?
Financially, just like the mayor said, we really don't have a real clear idea as to what's going to happen. I mean, we can look just like everybody can. You watch the news and you see the crazy things that are going on. And the presidential administration saying they're going to stop federal funding if we're participating in DEI. And I know myself, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues on the school board, but that's not something that we're willing to give up on. We're going to make sure that every student is taken care of, everybody's seen, everybody's heard, and we're going to give everybody the best education that they can possibly achieve. So,
Our budget is federal.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
worst case.
So, from what I understand, we've been looking at this because it is in jeopardy. Just to begin with, just recently, you may have seen the news that the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, changed the application date for getting reimbursed. That is about $45,000 for Royal Oak schools. It is significantly higher for others. So in case you hadn't seen that news, it was literally supposed to be March 22nd of next year. And on March 22nd of this year at 5 p.m., the Secretary of Education changed the date to get reimbursed for those monies to March 22nd of this year at 5 p.m. So there was literally no way that we could put in this. This is money that has been approved for work. Then the schools, they go out and they contract for that work. And then once the work is complete, you submit to get reimbursed. I am a retired teacher from Hamtramck Public Schools. They are losing $7 million. $7 million. And there are districts that are losing even more than that. So that is just kind of the first shot across the bow, if you will, that lets you know that what the federal government has promised may not come to fruition. We're taking that very seriously. So for instance, in Royal Oak schools, it's about $4 million worth of funding that goes to special education. Title I, often Title I is programs like reading support for students who struggle with reading. It is money for English language learners. It is money for, I think it's about $800,000 in Royal Oak is for the free and reduced school lunch program. So it is something that we are taking very seriously. Another thing that I think that people, may need to know more about is that when they're saying that they are threatening us because of our DEI programs, the money that they give us is actually for those things. So if you look at the letters, right? So inclusion, what do we use special ed monies for? For students to be included in the regular school program. If you look at equity, those Title I monies that are helping students that are struggling to read, that is what the money is for. So it's impossible, even if, and we are not at all interested in rolling back our programs, but that's literally what we ask the federal government for money for. That's what it's allocated for. So most recently, we are understanding that there is a letter coming to us that we are supposed to sign to promise that we are not breaking Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. It is really getting oppressive. And it is to create this chilling effect. Now they're saying, well, it's not just DEI. Watch out for those other letters out there. So they're saying that, social emotional learning is a Trojan horse for DEI. And they're just trying to make it so that we just shrink smaller and smaller and smaller and are afraid to do anything that we know is good for kids. Yes.
This is a huge.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything, I don't know what Royal Oak can do about it, deal with the huge problem, but do you have any like American or Michigan educators group or anything that is trying to educate people about what is going on with these cuts? Because I know when I talk to my brothers and sisters that are Republicans, that they have the idea that this is just an effort to take money away from abuse and corruption. They really believe this. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They don't understand how government works at all. And I'm hoping that one of the things we can do on a general level is educate people about how American democracy works
Yeah.
and show them how what's happening now is in no way what
Mhm.
they think is happening.
Right.
So I'm wondering if you're.
Well, I mean,
As a.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do right here today, because I do feel like I hear how it gets all twisted. And that's why I'm trying to give very specific examples so people understand, like, this is what they're talking about getting rid of. This is what they're trying to do. Yes. Oh, sure. Of course.
You're doing a great job,
Thank you.
but this is bigger than you or me.
Mhm.
I'm wondering how we can work to consolidate all our resources in the professions like in education and stuff like that, so that we can address this.
I mean, there are a number of organizations that that do provide information about this. We belong to the Michigan Association of School Boards, right? And they give us information about this. I'm sure if you went to their website, you'd be able to find some things about this. There are teachers unions that I'm sure are sounding the alarm bells about this. So the Michigan Education Association and AFT Michigan are both, resources that I'm sure are speaking out about this as well. Can you think of another source that they can go to?
Net curling?
What's that?
Maybe like the NEA, could they?
Oh, yeah, you can go to the national, versions of those. Any other questions? I see a question here. Yes?
From Royal Oak, and I hope that you stay strong in this fight. Do you have any comment on what the University of Michigan sort of did in terms of how they have kind of,
I mean, I guess what I will say is that all of the institutions are under enormous pressure right now. And I want to reserve my judgment. I know where the question is coming from. And I think that what all of our institutions are looking at is, if that money is taken away, what does that do to our students as well? And when you look at universities that are already having to cancel programs of research because of various agencies like the National Institutes of Health and those sorts of things being disassembled right now, we're all in a very tough spot. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know that, I'm on my way to everything I've done. I was a teacher. I taught in Hamtramck for a while.
Really? Okay.
And I find right now that what they did was so cruel and so inhumane, because the programs that the federal government gives to each of the school districts are not only necessary, but they're corrective. They take what the state can't do and they finish it by doing. Now, all of us in this room have seen people that we're proud of because they overcame, they accomplished, and they're doing productive things in our society. I don't understand the relationship between money and education as well as I should. I know that in certain school districts, especially African-American school districts, we don't get the same amount of money as some of the suburban districts. But I've seen in African-American districts, just like in these districts, where people have excelled. Now, why is it that when money's cut away altogether, we can't level the playing field and say, okay, let's all start at ground zero and build? I don't agree with what they are doing, but then we got to do something.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying to you is, let's do that, knowing that in Michigan, I've been around this country. There's no state like Michigan when it comes to education. I'm sorry.
I want to say a couple of things.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say a couple of things to address that. One is, I believe recently, Mallory McMorrow pointed this out, maybe in one of her, ask me anything sort of things. And she said that the amount of money that the federal government sends through the Department of Education to Michigan, that the state of Michigan could not backstop that. The amount of money would wipe out our entire, rainy day fund, right? For the state of Michigan in 1 year. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to say is that, well, two more things, I guess, is that when you look at districts like Hamtramck, where you and I both taught, right? When you look at their budgets, a much greater proportion of the money that they're allocated is coming from the federal government through that Title I formula. And so those districts are even more at risk from having that money taken. And then the third thing I want to say is that, is she okay? Yeah, okay. Is that the federal government, the administration is trying to have it both ways. Right. They're saying out here, oh, we just want the states to, let's just put this money back to the states, right? And let them handle it. And then on the other side, they're saying, we want to impose all of these rules on what the money is going to be used for, and that, you can't use it on these programs, right? So they're trying to have it both ways, right? So thanks. Any other questions? No? All right.
All right, so for our treasurer's report, in our checking account, we have $4,112.60. And then in our checking